Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. This is episode 28 of Vlogtober. Today we're going to be looking at all the books that I have completed so far in the month of October. Let's get into it. The theme for my reading this month was horror, and I started the month by reading my book club pick, which was the Reformatory by Tanner Dew. I did enjoy this book. The character work was really good because both of our characters are children, and they are having a very rude awakening. They're losing as much innocence as they can have in this time that is the Jim Crow era in Florida. They are black children, and they don't really have adults in their life. And it's just everything I've been learning about this time period in the past month, all of that was happening in their lives pretty much. Robbie gets left in the care of his sister, and the worst thing that could happen happens. He gets taken away for a crime that he committed and is sent to this reformatory school. This school, not everybody's made it out alive, and if they have, they're usually pretty troubled afterwards, even the workers. But there's something different about Robbie. He's not going in just knowing that he can see haints or ghosts. And in a place that is just filled with so much trauma, he can feel all of that on his shoulders, and just having all that. And I think it's not even just the ghosts themselves, it's the history of the place, of all the trauma that was done there. He can feel it, and he is trying to gain justice for himself, for these people. I cannot imagine just this little boy who is a child being put in this situation. It's awful, awful, awful. And the thing is, this is based on real history. This is based on the Dozier School of Boys, which was in Marianna, Florida, back again in that time period. That's what the author took inspiration from. The atmosphere was amazing. This is taking place in North Florida. It's sticky. It just invokes all of your senses. As I said, sticky with the humidity. You can hear the cicadas. The author just does a really great job immersing you into this world. I didn't have anything wrong with the writing style itself. It's more so on the pacing. We got to about the halfway point, and I felt like this was just going on too long, and I was wanting to get to the next book. Got repetitive with the missions that we see both Robbie and Gloria, that's his sister, the missions that they're going on, because, you know, Robbie is trying to escape this place. Gloria is trying to get him out of this place. That got repetitive for me. Something else that was kind of jolting, all the way in like the last 75% of the book, we are jolted upon with a new POV of our villain. Also with the villain, I think that he was a fantastic villain because he is not just a villain for having the sake of having a villain. He has his motives, he's intelligent, he's scary. As I was speaking on transitions, with the POVs, it didn't transition well going from one POV to the next. I didn't like how it was just within a chapter. I wish they would each get their own personal chapter. I do love how this is horror, and we do have paranormal aspects, but the thing that is so scary is this time and place that we're in the Jim Crow era South, and that all of this is based on something true. These kind of events were actually happening, and that's terrifying to think about. The system was set against our main characters, and seeing them be awakened to that is just so sad and scary, as I said, to read, because they're just realizing this world wasn't made for people like them. The laws, there might be laws in the books, but they're not always followed. Awful time in history. Speaking back to the horror elements, I will admit our ghosts did get creepy at times, but they were not the main thing that was horror driven here. Memory is such a big theme, and I do think that falls into the ghost as well, because we are seeing how memories in the past can haunt us like a ghost can. Also, the good and bad in this world, and how both things do exist and coexist. I was scared for our characters, and I had no idea where this plot was going to go. I was only preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. That is how I felt reading this. I ended up giving this a 3.75 out of 5 stars, so yes, I would recommend it. Next book that I have to talk about is Volume 0, Issue 2. Now, this is a collection that you can get at Book of the Month. So we're just going to look at our list of stories here, and I will go down and tell y'all like what I thought of them. So 5 Cherry Skittles This is perfect if you are a fan of Melissa Broder, especially Milk Fed. The vibes were very reminiscent, maybe because frozen yogurt is involved. But that one and Exit Strategy, I just read it like the perfect time in my life. Now, I'm not in these same exact situations that these characters are in, but just some of the emotions and everything, I could really be like, yes, I totally understand where that character is coming from. Inheritance and Exit Strategy are more speculative fiction ones. I do think Exit Strategy does have a possibility that it happens with the elite people, but as of right now, for a normal person, it does seem kind of extreme. But Inheritance was kind of a fever dream. I was confused while reading it, but there was some very powerful writing there. Ricky was the one that was forgettable, because when I was writing my review, I had to go back and be like, wait, what was that about? But if you like 80s teen movies, I think you might like that one. It is very short. Now, Garth and the Hannahs. This is for y'all who like mentally ill books and characters. Garth, it was just like the extent that people will go, and it just, I'm like, people need help. People need therapy, because like it's literally insane. And just the way the character work was of who is the good person, who is in the wrong, that was really fun to read. Now, the Hannahs is more crazy in the sense of the plot, where I'm just like, what just happened? Like, that is straight up insane. And then the Malumbra was one where, again, I was really confused by what was happening. I think it's bouncing back to that speculative feeling, that dystopian feeling. I was very confused, and after I finished it, I was like, what did I just read? So this one I gave a 3 stars, so I would recommend with a maybe. I did something totally off the wheels with my mood reading. I had this little basket where I have like 10 books or so, and those will be the ones that I choose from for my mood reading. But I was like, no, I want a fall contemporary romance. And this one has an absolutely beautiful cover and everything. And it was the one I decided to pick up. And that is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's the Season to Fall in Love by Lori Gilmore. The character work. I realized with this book, I am extremely picky about male main characters. Now, both of our characters, they are going through stuff. It's said that they're going through stuff. Jeannie, she just lost her boss. He passed away, and she's very scared that she's overworking herself. Then we have Logan, who is getting out of a bad breakup and has trust issues. So that, I'm like, yeah, people go through that. But it just felt very shallow and didn't really play into the emotions that go with those things. And Jeannie, she was ditzy and cute. I liked her. Logan, he started out fine, but I hated him by the end of the book. He was so emotionally immature. He's another one where I'm like, yep, you need therapy, sir. Because there's just this one scene where he has a temper tantrum like a toddler, when if he's an adult, which he seems to be in his late 20s or 30s, he could just be like, hey, what is this about? And problem solved. I think they just needed conflict for this book. The editor or the author, they felt the need. They're like, okay, we need to have that third act breakup, because that's how romance books work. Literally, Jeannie should have not gone back to him, because he has a lot of, he needs to mature with his emotions emotionally. I don't know how she went back to that, because I would honestly be scared that he would snap at little things all the time if I was her. But the atmosphere, I did enjoy the small town romance vibes that we have here. I don't know what state it's taking place in. Our main character's, she's coming to it from Boston. I think she's originally from California, but it has that autonomous New England town. Just the fall vibes are immaculate. We love it. Also, jumping back to the characters a little bit, with the side characters, they were all interchangeable for me. It's so obvious that the author is wanting to write a series and use each character and just be like, here's an Easter egg, here's an Easter egg, rather than developing those side characters. Sure, they're going to get development in the future books, but as of right now, I was just like, okay, these are Jeannie's friends. I don't know who is who. I don't know what business they own. That was just overwhelming for me. But let's talk about the writing. The writing was very accessible, and this was a great palate cleanser for these big horror books that I have been reading. This was really nice just to bounce back. All the tropes, it's grumpy sunshine, small town, seasonal romance, festive romance. That's all fine. That was all fine. But the relationship itself, I would say they started out as acquaintances, but they were claiming they were friends. And I'm like, okay, if you want to say you're friends, fine. But just the way this romance, there was no building. They went from being acquaintances to making out in alleyways to saying I love you after having that big argument. There was no building or development to this relationship whatsoever. In my opinion, the point of a romance book is seeing a relationship develop between two people or more, because there are polyamory romance books. But in this case, I think that the point of the story is supposed to see this relationship blossom between two people and how they got into a relationship. And sure, but there was just no development. It was just like boom, boom, boom. This is the formula of a romance book with no actual building that relationship, no chemistry whatsoever to me, because again, the characters lack development. So would I recommend this one? No, but it is still very popular. Our next big chunky horror is Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez, translated by Megan McDowell. With the characters in here, this is very rare for me. We have a child character, Jasper, but I felt nothing towards him. I felt no empathy towards him, no emotional connection towards him. That's extremely rare when it's a child character and it's like that for me. His father of Juan, I didn't like as a person, but I could understand why he was the way that he was as a character. As for the atmosphere, I did like that this takes place primarily in Argentina, because I haven't really read anything that takes place there. No, I do wish that I did have some background knowledge, but that is falling on my ignorance. So if you're looking to pick this up, maybe do a little bit of a background check on Argentina. The writing was definitely where I struggled the most. It was slow and steady pacing. And sometimes the author would use quotes and punctuation marks. Other times not. And I've never seen a book that is both. Usually they choose one or another. Like, we're going to have quotations, we're going to have punctuations, or we're not going to have that at all. I've never seen it with both. And I would just find myself confused a lot of the times, because this doesn't really have chapters. It has sections, and they can go through all different bits of decades, where I would be confused at first. I'd be like, okay, who are we dealing with? Where are we? How does this connect to the rest of the story? And it does all end up at the end of the story connecting and wrapping up, but I don't know if it was actually worth it. Now, the plot was exactly as it is described on the blurb of the book. That's what happens. I do think there are themes of commitment, love versus duty, destiny, and inheritance. And this might be a crazy combo, but if you're a fan of Stranger Things and A Little Life, this book is like the perfect mix of those two, so maybe give it a go. And again, I give this a 2.75, so I would recommend it with a maybe. I like to read a graphic novel or a children's book every month. Now, people are like, I've had people be like, you didn't read 89 books because some of them were children's books. I don't care. I can read what I want. You shouldn't like gatekeep people, because reading is amazing. It is fun. And I just love the artwork that is in children's books. So much work, because they are writing this book. They're coming up with a story. They're making art for it. Is that not incredible? I think that's incredible. So I personally do love a good children's book, and this one was good. So yes, I would recommend this, again with a maybe, because I think this is perfect for young, and this is Two Dogs by Ian Faulkner. I think this is perfect for young readers who have just learned to read, because there's not too much going on a page. Like, it's very spacious, so they're not going to be getting distracted by the illustrations and everything, even though there's still super cute illustrations. That it's, the words are, you know, larger, and there's not too much going on, so they're not going to be distracted. And I think it will be very easy for a young reader to understand what they're reading. I think this is a great book if you have a child in your life who has just learned to read, and if they're a dog lover. It's a super cute story. We're ending with a classic, that being 1984 by George Orwell. This is one that I wouldn't recommend, but I'm gonna say maybe because it is a classic. The character, I didn't like Winston. I get he is a man who's under a totalitarian government, he is essentially brainwashed. But his views of women were really where I was like, whoa, what did I just read? It reads like, I think it's incel culture that you see on the internet today, where I'm just like, whoa, like, but it does make sense because he doesn't have a good relationship with any woman in this book. He has very complicated relationships with all of them. But I do think our character of Winston is perfect for this kind of story. I don't think this kind of story would work with any other kind of character. Now, the atmosphere, I did like this. I have never read a dystopian that takes place in the UK, at least I don't think so. So I'm like imagining this is happening when the Hunger Games are happening. I don't know, but this is what was happening over there across the pond. But I did like it. Now, the world building was a little bit clunky. Now, I know, or at least I don't think this was set out to be a epic sci-fi. I think this was supposed to be a critique of government, of fascism, of totalitarianism, communism, socialism. That's what I think this book is trying to do. So I know it's not trying to build like some big epic sci-fi, but I was just so curious. I'm like, how did this world get to be the way it was? Now, we did get some world building 75% of the way into the book, and it was done in a very info dumping style. Speaking of the writing style, I read this on my Kindle, and there were just paragraphs that would go on for 6 pages. I would get lost because I'm like, I'm taking in so much information at once. This is overwhelming for me. And it would just go over my head because it was just too much at once. And again, that's how we got a lot of our world building and a lot of the critiques. And because, you know, the critiques are probably what make this a classic. And speaking of it being a classic, I think that's why I didn't enjoy the plot too much, because I knew what was going to happen. Nothing really shocked me. Yeah, so it was very thought-provoking. There were some quotes where I was like, wow, how was this written 70 years ago? Crazy to think about. So again, I would recommend with a maybe. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but it is a classic for a reason, so somebody might be able to get something from it. But I'd recommend not knowing a lot going in. Don't do research. Don't try to get a refresher from what you learned in high school. And I can definitely see why we read Animal Farm in high school rather than 1984, because there was some sexual stuff in here that I was like, wow, did not expect that from 1984. Those are all of the books that I completed in the month of October. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a Halloween emoji in the comments below. Yes, happy Halloween. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye. If you are familiar with my videos, you're used to seeing Sherman at the end of them. Sadly, Sherman has since passed away, but I would still like to encourage you guys to help your local shelters. Sherman was at the Darlington County Humane Society in rural South Carolina. I always have their link down below in the description if you guys would like to help them, but also help your local shelters as well. You can do that by donating, sharing posts like this one, volunteering, fostering, and adopting, which it's great to do all of those things. Great to help your community, great to help the animals in your community, and I cannot recommend it enough. All of my pets were rescues, they were strays or from animal shelters, and I love them so much, and I know how much love they can give, so knowing these pets at the shelter can equally give that much love, it's amazing. And y'all should totally take part and help out those local animal shelter pets, and please help them.